What's happening? I'm Alex. Welcome back to Hard Rock Guitar for Newbies. I'm super stoked that you're back here again today. Today we're going to be going over one of the most important things when it comes to playing the guitar, and that's tuning the instrument. Nothing sounds worse than an out-of-tune guitar, so I have deliberately messed up the tuning on this instrument. I'll walk you through the steps of tuning it, and then you'll get to hear what it sounds like after it's been tuned. Because there are so many different types of tunings out there, and this is a hard rock course, we're going to stick to one tuning for now, and that tuning is drop C. So when working with the 6-string guitar, we're going to be referring to each string by number to start off with. So your skinniest string here at the top is going to be your first string, and the bottom string here, the big heavy string at the bottom, that's going to be your 6th string. And of course, we'll also talk about the tuning for each of these strings as we go through. You can see here on my screen, there is a tuner. Now this is a Neural DSP plugin, so this is actually a virtual amp that you guys are going to be hearing. This is the Gojira Neural DSP amp plugin. It's really, really cool. It sounds great. Honestly, in a mix, I can't tell it's not a real amp. So let's go ahead and get started. Before we do, I want to call out one thing. This particular guitar has a tremolo bridge. So when it comes to guitars with trem bridges or tremolo bridges, you typically will have to go back through the tuning once or twice to make sure everything is nice and even, because unlike a fixed bridge where the bridge doesn't move, with the tremolo bridge, as you turn your tuning pegs and tighten or loosen the strings, you may actually have a little bit of variance in the angle or pitch of the bridge, which of course will adjust your tuning. So it to go back and forth to make sure that everything is kind of floated correctly or balanced correctly. So we're going to start with the top string here. So the 6th string. Now this being in drop C tuning, our first string here should be tuned to D. So as you can see right now, I'm a little bit flat. So I want to tighten the string up. And as I do that, you can see the string is getting closer to that center dot. There we go. Now we're nicely tuned up. Our 2nd string here, this one here should be tuned to A. And we're actually almost there already. Perfect. A little pro tip, when it comes to tuning your strings, you generally want to tune them up to pitch. So if you are sharp to start off with, in other words, your pitch is higher than where you want it to be, drop it down below your desired pitch and then tune it back up. This is especially helpful on guitars that don't have locking tuners, as when you slacken a string down to pitch, you may end up with string slippage later on, whereas if you tighten it up to pitch, you're kind of snugging the string up against it in the process of tuning it up, which will help prevent string slippage later on. It won't permanently eradicate it, but it'll certainly help you out with your tuning stability. So let's go down to our 3rd string here. This string here should be tuned to F. As you can see, we're a pretty good bit flat there. So I'm going to keep tuning this up nice and slowly. And I always like to give the tuner a second to catch up and the string a second to settle down. There we go. Might be a little bit of oscillation or drift, but what you'll notice is when you first hit your string, it's going to jump sharp and then it'll settle down to where it's supposed to be. So if you're going to be super nitpicky and precise, make sure you have a good tuner. It'll help you out a lot. There are lots of tuner options out there. My favorite pedal board tuner for the longest time was the Korg Pitch Black. Really great tuner. Boss also makes a really good one called the Boss TU-2 or the TU2. That's a really popular one. You can find those everywhere. A lot of multi-effects boards or amp modelers like the Fractal FM3, they have a built-in tuner. You can also see your amp plugins can have tuners. There are also these handy little clip-on tuners that you can attach to your headstock that are spring-loaded, like so. You can just clip that on there and use that to tune. Some people absolutely hate those things. I think they're handy. I mean, if you don't have another tuner nearby and you happen to have one of these in your gig bag or your backpack or whatever, and they're not particularly expensive. I think this right here, this is the Air Snark or the Snark Air. It's USB-C rechargeable, and I think they cost about 25 bucks, maybe 30 tops. and they're fairly accurate. They might not be as accurate as what you might get out of a dedicated pedal or an amp modeler or a plugin like this where you have a direct connection to it. Still pretty accurate nonetheless. So let's get down here to our 4th string. We want this tuned to C. There we go. Let that string settle for a second. Next one here, 5th string. Let's get that. That should be G. And our bottom string should also be C. So from a tuning perspective, we should have C, G, C. All right. And then right here, we should have F, A, D. So C, G, C, F, A, D from bottom. That's from the heaviest string to the top string. Now we're going to go back the other direction since we are working with a guitar that has a tremolo. If you're using a fixed bridge, you may only have to go through it once. So let's just double check that tuning here. That one's settled a little bit. Good. Go back through it. Couple more to go. F. Get in there. There you are. So as you can see, the closer we got to that heavier string, the more we moved the other strings out of place. So if you ever decide to get a guitar, you're thinking about getting a guitar that has any kind of tremolo, especially any kind of locking tremolo like a Floyd Rose or an Ibanez Edge or Low Pro Edge, you want to make sure that when you go back through your strings after tuning up, you always double back over them and double check to make sure you aren't wildly out of tune, because you will be the first couple of times until you've actually done adjustments to your bridge. So I tend to go back and forth when I first set up a guitar, make sure that everything is nicely in tune, and then run back and forth across the strings to make sure everything remained stable. All right. So now we should have a pretty good, stable tuning. Feels pretty good. I think we're in good shape here. So now your guitar is all tuned up and ready to go, and you're one step closer to making some noise. It was really great having you here today. Keep playing, keep practicing, stay awesome, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. See you soon.